Welcome to the Tuesday Night Cigar Club, episode 117.
Yeah,
Is that right? 117?
that is 117.
We should have had Fritz do a winger cover. Episode 117. 117. It's silly for him to do that just for one episode, but we are, as always, here once again, folks, to party our collective asses off and then bring that party straight in to your eyes and ear holes. But first, there's something important I want to talk about.
Okay.
Listen up. The Big Bang Theory sitcom, Jeffrey Dahmer, Chili's restaurants, Bigfoot erotica, and the Cincinnati Bengals. What do all those things have in common? The answer is simple. They were all founded or created by white people. So the very idea of white supremacy, or the notion that we white folks are any better than anybody else, is clearly flawed from the examples I just gave you. A lot of talk and real action right now in America concerning race relations. And as things tend to do in one way or another, the issue has trickled down into our little world, the culture of premium cigar smokers. We're going to get right into the news tonight, boys. Tut, you got your media hat?
Oh, hang on.
Guys, we can't talk about serious things without. Okay.
Media.
We're official now. We're official now. In fact, this news involves the brand owner of the cigar we're smoking this evening. How's that for time? I didn't plan this. We were going to smoke this cigar anyway, and boom. From my favorite cigar media news site on the interwebs, halfwheel.com, I bring you this article dated June 10th, bearing the the headline, Kaizad Hansotia. Sorry if I don't. It's a guy's name. Kaizad Hansotia resigns as chairman of Gurkha. I'm just going to say Kaizad from now on because I'm pretty sure that's correct.
Kazid.
Kaizad has resigned. Kaizad H. There, how's that?
Okay.
Kaizad H. has resigned as the chairman of Gurkha Cigar Group Incorporated. His resignation comes after a tumultuous week in regards to statements made on his personal social media accounts that mocked the Black Lives Matter movement, for that matter, the murder of George Floyd, and other topics related to race and society. I had actually seen some of these posts before they disappeared. Basically, the typical stuff you see, guys. Why do Black Lives matter only when white people kill them? Should they matter when all the black people kill them too? Talking about George Floyd was all his giant criminal and just really slamming the victim of a murder. And then there was the classic one he retweeted or reposted, which had a picture of Ronald Reagan back in his black and white movie days, bottle feeding a monkey on some film set. And it was like President Reagan takes care of young President Obama. Those are just three that I saw. Well, following the revelation and the responses to those posts, imagine this: the responses weren't positive to his post. He said that his account had been hacked. That one. Gurkha immediately put out a statement. The company did, saying they believed his account had been hacked. He hadn't noticed it for a few days, and he had deleted his account. Back to the Half Wheel article, Gurkha put out a statement from Kaizad H, reiterating that he believed his account had indeed been hacked, but he also apologized for past comments that were made on his social media account. I can't vouch for that, but apparently a lot of people are like, this is nothing new for this guy. This is just the first time with everything going on in the world that people were vocally speaking up against it. It's unclear whether Kaizad H is giving up any of his ownership in the company. A spokeswoman or spokesperson for the company has not immediately returned a request. The company said Jim Colucci, currently the COO and president, will assume the role of CEO. It's unclear whether there'll be a new chairman. Furthermore, the company is removing the Kaizad H branding from its products once existing supplies run out. His name is all over Gurkha products. He's got his own, actually his own cigar named after him, and then you just see his name everywhere. So that'll be interesting. And then they released this statement. We are outraged and saddened at the content of previous posts made on Kaizad H's personal social media account, said the company in a press release. These in no way reflect the position or beliefs of the company, its founding mission, or its employees. We stand in solidarity against racism and for racial justice. We cannot and will not tolerate words or acts of hate, injustice, or oppression. We understand that because of the actions of our founder, we must work to regain the trust of our customers and cigar community. We look forward to working towards this goal together, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that was their statement. And, you know, I guess he's out, but I believe he's the owner of the brand. So I'm not sure how that works. But yeah, so one, we'll get to the hacking thing but here's what I want to know, boys. We've heard this coming from celebrities, sports figures in the news. We've heard this whole circus so many times before. And a lot lately, as more and more jackasses are having a spotlight aimed at them for past comments and or social media posts that they just couldn't help but put out there. And that's what fascinates me. It's like, for what? Likes? Hopeful validation of their racist bullshit by a small handful of other racist assholes? Like, I'm going to risk it all, my livelihood, my business, just to see if there's a couple other jerk offs out there that'll click that like button. I don't get it. And I want you three brainiacs to help me understand why someone would hit that post button, especially right now with what's going on in America. Why they would share that meme on Twitter, why they would say that racist slur on camera when they know they're being filmed. They're risking it all and they don't seem to give a shit. They have to honestly, deep down, not know that it's vile, shameful stuff, right? Like, they have to really think that it's not. And is the fact that they're thinking, saying, and posting this stupid shit, is that proof that they're just that? I mean, they're just really stupid people. And they really don't understand anything about the world and how it works. I mean, is that what it boils down to? Are these people that are getting busted every day and called out and saying they've been hacked and then apologizing and then trying to scrape it all back together? I mean, is it just an issue of being morons? Help me understand this, please. Any of you.
There's a saying, a person is smart and people are dumb. But in reality, though, you can't have dumb people if you don't have a dumb person. So as smart as the individual might be made, no, there are just, in fact, just true dumbasses out there everywhere. And we are finally able to live at a time to where we can hear their opinions even though we didn't want to.
Yeah. It's just amazing to me how many of them are still voicing them loudly.
More importantly, thanks to the wonders of social media, they can voice that opinion and not immediately be punched in the face.
Well, that's true. There is the barrier of your computer screen or your phone to where you're not going to they're not out on the streets talking this garbage.
Correct.
But I mean, do they really not have the thought in their mind of repercussions when they post a picture like the Obama monkey picture? Or like, do they think it's going to be like people are going to laugh or people are going to be like right on? And like, are those 4 or 5 people that validate your post? Is that worth losing?
They think that they're like our president, that they can literally say anything and get away with it. I mean, He's setting an example right there. And this guy, he's owner of one of the most popular cigar brands in the world. I mean, his exact thought process is probably, what are they going to do? Fire me? Oops.
I'm not sure there's a great answer, Cade. I don't.
Doctor, it honestly baffles me. Like, I just cannot wrap my head around it.
Me too. I don't want to take any political side in the matter. I agree with Yax. I mean, it's a very cynical opinion. I have it myself. It's not a very Christian opinion, no matter what religion a person is, but people are stupid. And you encounter stupidity every day. Nowadays, a lot of us aren't leaving the house, so you don't encounter it as much. But so I certainly agree with Yax. There's a good answer, which is just idiocy. But to your point, the part that's baffling, human idiocy no longer surprises me. You see it all the time. But to your point, this is a man who founded a business. He must have some brain cells firing. Social media is no longer new. It's still on a relative scale in its infancy, but it's not like somebody starting this 2 weeks ago. That a person, no matter what they actually thought or believed, whether they had heinous racist beliefs or not, whatever they thought, that they would go put it out on the internet for all to see. You would think that somebody, I could see if it was some toothless moron living, in a meth lab somewhere who just really could barely read. But to think that this guy is actual business owner, you would think he has some smarts firing.
It says they're a huge brand.
It's not even the point that like, okay, obviously he's a racist, but you would think he would have the wherewithal to keep that to himself. It is, your choice of words, I can't improve upon it. It's baffling that someone would feel the need to share their beliefs, whether we agree with them or not. And obviously none of us agrees with it. It's horrible. But that he would think that he could get away with it in any way is just doubles up on the idiocy. I don't think there's a real good answer for it.
I mean, I think there's definitely a newfound, and I don't get political either, but
He put it out there because he thought people were going to laugh at it and like it. That's exactly what he did. He was like, I'm smart. I've got this opinion, and there's people that agree with me out there, and I'm going to show all those libtard snowflakes out there that, we're going to laugh at this. I'm not racist. I'm just being funny, and people are going to understand that and like it. So he puts out his racist bullshit, and next thing you know, they're going to try to strip his company away from him.
Yeah, it's
dumber than dumb.
Anytime you compare an African American to a monkey or an ape, it's hard to come out with my words were misrepresented. that whole bullshit.
By the way, if y'all ever see my Facebook account have some racist BS, and it's up there for a couple of days, can you maybe call me on day one and say, hey, what's going on? Maybe you've been hacked.
You think? Nobody's hacking anybody. Come on.
Preposterous.
Your backlog in years of social media activity also either bolster, if we'll stick to the cigar world, if let's pick a nice guy like Matt Booth from Room 101 we just interviewed, nicest guy in the world, if all of a sudden on his Instagram page it just came up, God hates fags. Man, he's never said anything like this in the previous 10 years. And he was like, guys, something bad. Okay, you know what? You got the benefit of the doubt. But apparently, and I just throw out the most hurtful visual words.
Yeah.
But no, apparently this guy's got a pretty lengthy history of kind of charged comments and things in that way. And then you had the flood of, fuck Gurkha, I'm never buying another Gurkha, pictures of Gurkhas in the toilet. And then you had the opposite. You had almost just as many people. I thought this was a free country. I thought you're going to take the man's company away from him because he has a different opinion than you. But you know what? I don't get into that because that's a whole nother.
Well, they took that Seattle guy's company away from him.
They just the guy who invented CrossFit just lost his. he had to resign for some stupid ass Facebook post about George Floyd. Like, this guy's got to have gazillion dollars, and he couldn't keep his fucking fingers from clicking on stuff.
I do want to say, like, my first instinct was this is the last, because we've agreed to do it on the show. I'll do it, and then this will be the last Kirk I smoke. But then I got to thinking about it, and I was just like, knowing how many people are working in that factory and who don't agree with this bullshit and probably have never even met the dude. I mean, it sounds like I'm punishing them, but I mean, I don't want to do that.
Well, do you really need to wrestle with it, Ted? Do you smoke that many Gurkhas?
No.
It's not really a something you're gonna have to wrestle with every day in your humidor.
Dude, I was having a moment.
There was
the main themes here are the Cage, what you're talking about, the idiocy, the just baffling idiocy of somebody posting their racist meanderings. Why? What are you thinking? Even if that's what you believed, why would you do that and risk your livelihood by posting it? I mean, it's beyond stupid. And then the idea of us believing that your last ditch effort to save your ass is that your account was somehow hacked is laughable.
At least have the balls to own it and immediately apologize and try that angle before you start spewing lies. I wonder if maybe, and we'll move on, but we really don't talk serious too much around here, but I wonder if this quarantine, the lockdown over the last few months, I wonder even successful people are probably getting lonely, especially, if you're not surrounded by a lot of people. And I wonder if there's a kind of innate need for acceptance or communication, or where normally they're busy, they're going out to eat, they're all over the place. And now they're in their fucking house 24 hours a day. And it's like, you know what? All they're doing is watching the shitty ass news. All they're doing is letting the little things that used to fester inside grow into bigger things. And I wonder if there's other people out there thinking the same shit. I'm gonna test the waters, and then a giant shit bomb goes off in your face, and you wake up and everything you worked for years is just gone.
So not only are they stupid, they're also starting to lose their mind a little bit.
Crazy stupid. Yeah. People are interesting. One of my few heroes in the world, Mike Patton, had a great quote. He's like, that's what I hate about people. They're people. They're just completely fucking nuts, and you just don't know what you're getting.
I like people. Don't be racist.
Don't be racist. Tuesday Night Cigar Club is anti-racism.
Amen.
I think we can
very good about this.
I think we can all give the TNC's hands on that. Well,
discrimination in any form.
In any form whatsoever. And I thought up until today, boys, that this is where our conversation on this topic would end for now.
Wait, it's not?
But then out of the blue, something happened to a longtime Facebook friend of mine. And there was no way in hell that I wasn't going to ask him to come on the show and talk about it. So C.W. Harris, first off, thank you for joining us here in the Corner No Hope on the Tuesday Night Cigar Club podcast, especially on such short notice. It's been kind of a crazy couple of days for you. So why not make it a little bit crazier, huh? A little background real quick. CW and I met online, and it didn't hit me till I sent him a Facebook message, and I saw some old messages we sent almost a decade ago. Like when I first got on Facebook, we were both members of a group called Cats, which was one of the first gathering places for cigar smokers to meet and talk. And we quickly found out we were both diehard Chicago Bears fans. CW is actually in Chicago, so that was a check in the right direction. We both loved Liga Privadas.
Yeah.
So that's kind of all we needed to know that we were all right. And we kind of just stayed Facebook friends for the last 10 years. I've gotten rid of a lot, especially since I started having kids. a lot of people on my friend list on Facebook, they were just cigar people that I didn't really have any connection to, didn't know. I've kind of weeded out hundreds of them over the years. But I always liked interacting with CW and talking and seeing pictures of your family. And you always just came across as a really solid dude. And I'm glad we stayed in contact. So bear down.
Hey.
And thanks for being here, man. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate those kind words. I feel the same way. And, it just goes to show that this, certainly with sports too, but also as we're sitting here on a cigar podcast, that cigars can bring people together. So
they are. And I'm going to talk about that once we kind of get into the meat and potatoes of what's kind of going on with you right now, because that's one of the beautiful things about cigars to me, and it always has been kind of this unifier. When you go into it, hell, I'll say it now. We'll skip it later. When you go into a lounge, or you go to a big gathering of brothers and sisters of the Leaf, whether it be 50 people or 1,000 people, it just seems like there's just that unifying factor that you're all there sharing the same passion for cigars, and it just kind of well, I guess we've learned over the last 2 weeks, there's always dark corners of any subculture, but it is, for the most part, been a beautiful thing in my experience. The people I've met and the people I've gotten to know, it wouldn't have happened without cigars.
Certainly overall, yes.
And then this week happened. We just got done chatting with the boys before this interview about the whole Gurkha mess, where their owner got into some serious hot water, to put it mildly. But what he posted, some racist stuff on his own personal Facebook page. But CW, this week, you were personally attacked by a cigar brand owner on your personal page.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll try to wrap our head around this one. CW, let's get right to it. Tell us what happened.
Well, basically, I had posted, put on Facebook, just talking about, people are saying doing Black Lives Matter, and then people come back and say all lives matter. I personally just believe when people say that, they're just talking to say that. I think most people know that Black Lives Matter means Black Lives Matter too. So I posted it. I said, where was all lives matter for 400 years? But that's what we're doing. And so he had just responded back. So what does this mean? We got to, and I'm paraphrasing, but it's basically I think it was a meme, if I'm not mistaken, but basically came back and said, so what does this mean? We have to take down the pyramids too because they were built by slaves? And I'm like, what? And so I'm pretty straightforward. So I told him, I said, that was a stupid comment. He said, well, let's investigate that. I said, I think that's a stupid comment. You can hit the unfollow button. Let's investigate that. And so then I, pulled him up and I saw he wasn't even from America. I'm like, and your monkey ass isn't even from America. Now, monkey ass, I don't know if you guys use it, means silly.
I told Tuttle, so at this point in the conversation, I actually printed it out, CW, so you don't have to paraphrase. The guy said, maybe we have to demolish the pyramids too. They were all built by slaves. They did the little emoji, which I guess he's referencing the fact that so many people were wanting to take down maybe some Confederate statues. Anything? Right. Okay. So he's being a smartass. You told him that's a stupid comment. See your way to the unfollow button. Investigate that. That. And then you noticed, like you said, that he wasn't even from America. And you said, your monkey ass isn't even from America. And Todd asked me about monkey ass because that was a new one to him.
No, it's not. I'm familiar with it from The Rock. The Rock used to always call people monkey ass jabroni.
Well, I know it because I used to actually say it. I'm a movie guy, and for some reason in the movie Last Boy Scout, Halle Berry's working at the strip club, and when Damon Wayans goes to take her off the stage, the little DJ guy starts to make him to stop him or something. He's like, "Get your monkey ass back in the cage." And I just always thought that was a funny line, so I would go around. But I never read anything other than because he was a goofy little like you said, a silly ass.
It's silly ass, it's like silly, goofy behind out of here. You know what I mean? That's what it was. And then, he responds with, basically.
I can tell you exactly what he said.
Oh, go ahead.
He said, "That's not the tone I'm used to. Didn't your mother in the slum teach you some manners? When was the last time you looked yourself in the mirror?"
And that's the giveaway, and I was just like, what?
So I think it's safe to say that not just yourself, but 199% of everyone, the hundreds of people who read this interaction go down on your page, and certainly Tut and I, when we read it as just a straight up racist.
What?
I don't know how you can. We talked about the Gurkha owner and the trouble he got into, and he posted some memes, the all lives matter, this and this, but one of the memes they dug up that he shared was a youngish black and white photo on a movie set of Ronald Reagan bottle feeding a chimpanzee, I guess in some movie, and the meme was like, President Reagan takes care of future President Obama.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
And that wasn't recent. That was like he had done that before, and it had slipped through. Nobody was gunning and looking for that stuff. But apparently he had a history of stuff like this.
Wow.
So pretty much now this guy's foreign. I think he's in Denmark.
Yeah.
I would think it's not just an American thing where the minute you reference any kind of monkey, ape, gorilla in the conversation with an African American, that it's straight up racist.
Yeah, I mean, even with two things on that. The whole last sentence about have I looked at myself in the mirror lately? That's a dead giveaway. Before we even talk about the slum stuff. But in addition, if you look at some of the problems that have happened in Europe in soccer with African players over there, or they might be English players, but people of African descent, black people over there playing soccer with people throwing bananas and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So, they know.
And that's what, Tut and I were talking about. There's one foreign gentleman on there trying to kind of like, well, over here, the slums don't mean what they mean in your country. And
come on.
And we don't think we would never make that monkey slur. And it's like, I thought the same thing. I'm picturing that soccer field with bananas come down. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah, and I had a buddy of mine, Louis Kotsek is one of my college buddies. I got people who just weren't having it, and that's what he was bringing up. It was like, come on, man. We've seen these things from these soccer games. Don't try to act like you have
certain racist things are so abhorrent and so obvious that they're universal, sadly. And so this guy, good luck pleading ignorance on any of those.
And just like what happened with the gentleman from Gurkha, there was a guy that came on. Because you saw how long the thread became. I don't know how many comments are here now. But it was a gentleman, I believe he's a shop owner somewhere in one of the small countries in Europe. Sometimes you'll see where people are from. You're like, what? Like, I took geography, but I have no idea the name of the country you're referring to. But good guy. I think he was of Muslim descent and Muslim religion, the Muslim religion. And, he pulled up some old comments that guy Jan, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, had made, about goat effers. I don't know how much you guys cut on here, so I'll keep it.
Oh, you can go ahead and say goat fuckers.
Yeah, goat fuckers. They fuck their sisters or something like that. So
he's apparently looking at his page. He's pretty open about his feelings about immigration and what it does to a country, and how much better off countries that severely limit their immigration are. But one of his comments, and this is on a completely different thread, but as far as, good luck defending yourself, he said, basically referencing troubles in Denmark, he said, it's because we have the wrong immigration laws We accepted goat fuckers from the mountains marrying their cousins, whereas Singapore demanded high education from their immigrants.
And that's him.
So there you go. It got even worse because at some point he quit responding. And for some reason, hey, at least I don't want to give this guy any props, but at least unlike the Gurkha guy, he didn't delete his comments and he didn't say he was hacked and it was someone else on his account. He just left the conversation. But
I don't know if I feel any better about that.
I guess that's just that's an American thing where you say you were hacked and you didn't do it. But his wife got on there, and his wife starts attacking CW, and
what?
It's all written in Spanish, so you're relying on translating software to read what she's trying to say, which is damn near impossible.
Great. Now instead of coming back, I'm hacked. It's like, no, it's wrong translation.
It's not, and this isn't me being cruel or ignorant. I don't think it was really hard to understand what she was trying to say, but she was basically accusing CW of sending her either some sexual comments or messages and then saying that he deleted them.
Yeah, then she said they were sexist, non-sexual, and I'm like, I don't even know who you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Out of 10 things, man, 9 of those or 99 out of 100, I've never in my life seen a woman anything like that.
Well,
I don't even know.
But also, I don't care if, she's from Denmark. I don't care if she's from Alabama. I don't care if she's from Nicaragua. Wherever she's from, that is straight out of the racist handbook as far as you're in trouble, you call out a black man with some sexual accusations of, in the old days, it wouldn't be that you sent me some sexual comments or some sexual. No, this is.
You whistled at me, Emmett Tillman style.
So it's just, this is all just racism 101. And yeah, there's some murkiness lost in translation there between this guy's wife and you, and probably the guy himself. Who knows? I really have no interest in talking to him. But let me ask you this. So that's where we're at. I mean, your post blew up. Just 400 or 500 comments. A million people. A lot of people shared it. A ton of people went to his business's Facebook page, which I had never even heard of this guy's cigars. They are sold in the United States, by some big online retailers that I could tell. But a lot of people took up the cause and went in full force to call this guy out, which is what more and more people are doing. First off, as far as what he wrote, and I'm sure you'll agree with me. I hope you'll agree with me. My number one rule is if you're not willing to walk into a room filled with 100 strangers and say what you're about to type through a bullhorn, then you probably shouldn't type it and send it. Yeah. And what we're seeing these guys do, and which before were just trolls, were just nobodies, but now in the last week we've had 2 cigar brand owners do it. They're posting shit that there's no way in hell they would walk into a cigar lounge and say. Yeah. And it just blows my mind. And we talked about a little bit of this before you joined a CW, what these guys are thinking. I mean, do you have any theory on what their end game, what they think they're going to get by putting everything, their livelihood, their business on the line to just fucking smear somebody and to make them try to feel little in just a brief moment on the internet? It's crazy.
Yeah, first and foremost, it's sad that they even have some of those things on their heart. You know what I mean? To even have that inside of them, even if they're harboring it. But I just believe that, people can't help themselves, man. There's something addictive about social media. There's a lot of things going on right now that get people riled up and they just can't help themselves. And, it's surprising as it relates to the guy I was dealing with. It's like, you're not even over here. You know what I mean? To talk about that type of stuff. So was it that much what you saw what I said? That's really just,
that was baffling. The part that, and it wasn't like he was from a country that's mired in social unrest, and that he's been, Denmark. Like, what's the worst thing you get some mud on your wooden shoes?
Right, exactly. I was just like, so that threw me. You know what I mean? From to have that, and then somebody showed me, because I think he blocked me. I couldn't see his page anymore, and he had posted something the next day of some black guy pushing like a little white lady, and I don't know what happened. The picture that was shown to me was just, the person hadn't done it yet, I don't think. And I took that to be like, so what are you just saying, since you got into it with me as a black person, I represent this black guy that pushed down this white lady, you know what I mean?
I wasn't blocked from his page, and it seemed like shortly after, once I learned what was going on with you and I checked out his page, he reposted this clip of this scene. I think it was in New York City or something, where African American, which a lot of people have actually, it might be a bullshit clip actually.
Really?
But I can't speak on that, but
that's how he was using it, you know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
That's what you're gonna follow it up with, something like that, like, hey, he's just making one mistake after the other to me. And again, the sad part is just that even has those feelings when he's in the, it even has those feelings, period, that they were something that came out. But I just believe you're going to see more and more of it. Maybe not in big companies where they have PR people and stuff like that. You usually don't see it in those places now anyway. Those people are probably a little more intelligent.
Gurkha's pretty big, my friend.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess I come from, I'm an entrepreneur now, but I come from corporate America. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I was about to say, cigar, even though they're big in the cigar industry, the cigar industry is a little bit different than corporate.
I was keeping it kind of cigar centric, but sure.
I got you.
You're not going to see Bill Gates dropping a meme on somebody's timeline.
Yeah.
But I guess I just don't get the mentality of, you worked hard, you're a business owner, CW, you work hard, you build your brand, you put all this work into it, and then it's late at night and you're on your Facebook and you just can't help but do something so stupid that basically gives you nothing in reward, except maybe there'll be some ignorant ass out there who will like your comment, and you're going to risk it all to, one, make somebody, for just a brief instant, because you don't care about what this guy thinks of you. You're a confident guy. You know who you are. But just to try to hurt somebody for a few seconds and try to get someone to like, that is just, to me, it's the definition of insane.
I have a saying that I use that I've put up in my 49 years of life. And it goes in a few directions, but I say most people can't see beyond their nose. One thing, and I'm not saying I've always made the right decisions all my life, but I've always tried to think, if I do this, I push to send, if I say these words, if I send this letter, whatever it is, I've always thought to myself, what's the next step? You know what I mean? Yeah, I want to send it because I want to piss this person off. I want to send it because I'm mad right now. I always say, what's the next step from that?
Right.
But most people, they don't see beyond their nose. It's right in the moment. It's right here. And I don't see it over, by making a move like this or making this comment, what's going to come back. Now, on the flip side, maybe off on the tangent of that is, I definitely think it's stupid for a business owner to do that. I definitely think it's stupid to harbor those thoughts. But, in some of these cases, it's good to see what these people think.
That's what I've been kind of wrestling with and thinking about, is that, it's good for me to see that it's there. Because I just, and I guess that's one of the conversations with, white privilege and everything like that, is that for us who don't see it on a day-to-day basis, like I always imagine everybody is like I am. We're just trying to do good. And if you treat people a certain way, they're going to treat you a certain way, and you try to treat your neighbor as you want to be treated. And sometimes you fail, but most of the times you don't. And then to see this shit, it's just, fuck, what are you doing? Stop it. And you don't have anything to be miserable about. You're living the dream in Denmark, having a cigar company. Just lighten the fuck up, have a beer. I mean, God.
Yeah,
that's how I feel, and I sometimes, like, on the like whether it's news stations here, some of the papers here in Chicago, and they love to stir the pot on on Facebook and stuff with the things I put. This Confederate thing is coming down. What do you think? And you can just imagine the shit show that the comment sections are. But it still catches me off guard sometimes. I'll see like a little white lady like out in Iowa somewhere. I like to look this. When people are talking trash, I like to see where they're from. And I've pulled up a few times. I'm like, why are you mad? Like you live somewhere is 98% white in a 3,000 people.
But it's still Iowa.
Yeah, I mean, it could be anywhere really. It's just like you're not even in it, and you're sitting home this, like I don't, that's just me.
Well, two things. Well, to follow up your quote, which was a good one that you kind of always keep in your back pocket, it kind of goes in check with one I've always had, which was everyone has to answer to somebody, and maybe not now, but a year from now. Nobody is autonomous. The quote is, be careful whose toes you step on today, because they could be attached to the ass you have to kiss tomorrow.
Yeah, kiss tomorrow, that's right.
And
that's right.
You know what? He stepped on the wrong toes with UCW, because you've been kind of ingrained in the culture that is his business in the United States for a very long time. I don't think there's any social media active industry guys who don't know who you are. And if they didn't know who he was, they do now. So that's on him. He made his bed. Do they sleep in beds in Denmark, or is it hammocks?
It's so funny. It's a buddy about good stuff. But a buddy of mine said it. He was like, bro, that guy's probably got more notoriety, you know what I mean, and more eyes on this brand.
That's one of the things that we kind of wrestled with, is that, do we on one hand, I'm like, call the fucker out. And then on the other hand, Cade's like, no, I don't want to give him any more notoriety than he's getting. Nobody knew who he was before this. They shouldn't know him after this. So it's kind of like one of those things like, man, do you fucking call him out or not?
Well, I had a situation where I had one of the big blogs got in touch with me about it, and we went back and forth about it, and he was just like, there's moves that he's going to make against somebody. He's like, I'm not going to publish it because the guy not big enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think what he was saying was that he didn't believe that the guy had distribution here. And that's why they were changing the name of the company or something. I haven't had a chance to go and look at that. But it was kind of along the same lines of like, and then I had another friend who I went to high school with, who writes for like Time and Newsweek and things like that over in Europe. And their branches and those levels of publications here and over there. And she actually said, I want, her to use the power of her pen. And I thought about it, and I haven't even responded yet to that. But, even with her, I was like, it's even big enough to kind of go after, And I don't know. My whole thing is just that, he certainly, whatever happens or doesn't happen from this point on, I think people recognize the type of person that he is. Well, there you go. Now everybody's seeing you run your mouth, and whatever comes out of that for you comes out of that for you.
The posts are there on C.W. Harris's Facebook page. I sent Tud over there, so it's a public viewable post.
Yeah.
Go there and check it out for yourself. Be prepared. Like I said, it's an uncomfortable read. But you know what? Ultimately, that's kind of one of the good things about this movement we have going on right now, where these guys aren't hiding in the shadows anymore. Like you said, CW, they can't help it. They've got to do it. And for whatever reason, where guys like Gurkha weren't getting called out before posting heinous shit, now people are calling them out, and they're taking it all the way to their business pages. They're taking it every avenue they can, whether it's a cigar media empire like the Tuesday Night Cigar Club getting you on here, whether it's your friend who writes for Newsweek.
We're just like them. We're just like Newsweek and Time over in the Europe.
There you go.
Maybe not.
No, but you know what though? And I don't want to cut you off on that, but I mean that's the whole thing with social media. Like I work in branding and marketing, and we can put out stuff just like anybody else can put out stuff. Me and my guys can design different graphics, infographics, different things like that, and put them out there and get just as many followers as some of the big brands can. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The advent of social media has kind of leveled that. So, you know, with this and what we're doing here and on your podcast and everything like that, you know, people see it. People see it. You know what I mean?
And just real quick, we are more the Jugs magazine of the cigar media world. Not
we are.
Not Newsweek. Mad. Let's go Mad magazine.
And I'm fine with that. It takes everybody to reach all across the spectrum.
Hey man, you know, variety is the spice of life, baby.
Couldn't agree with you more. Well, let me go this way. Mm-hmm. In this moment in time, when the Black community is hurting, struggling, and fighting tooth and nail for equality at a level and an intensity that I haven't seen in my lifetime, when lives, actual beating hearts, are literally on the line, why would anyone, and a lot of what I'm talking about tonight is the psychology of these people, why would anyone knowingly add to that hurt and think that this will be a good look in any way for them? Like, this community is on a precipice of possible humongous change, the likes we've never seen in our infancy of a country. It's a huge moment.
There's been bigger changes with the, you know, slaves being freed and the civil rights movement.
Well, sure. I'm sorry. I'm just talking about my life, what I've seen in my lifetime. This is a huge moment. And you're just seeing so much open sores. You're seeing so much revealed that people haven't talked about before. You're learning all this stuff, especially from, you know, your African-American friends that they never really felt comfortable telling you, or they just, for whatever reason, kept things private, and now they're sharing it. And now you're, as a white man, digesting that and figuring out the best way to help, the best way to empathize. And while we're all going through these very human emotions and trying to work together and trying to just really come to a new level of enlightenment and progress, these fuckheads are slamming their foot on the brake with stupid ass memes and bullshit. And it's like, anytime these guys, and this stuff you see every day, the All Lives Matter stuff. Any post in a cigar group that supports Black Lives Matters, give it 10 minutes, you're going to see a guy post All Lives Matters. And at this point, if you don't get, like you said earlier, that once Black Lives Matters, then All Lives Matters, it's not an either or, asshole. It's this has to happen before. Everybody wants all lives to matter, but this has to happen first. And here's, I don't know, 1,000 reasons why that's not the case. Let's work on that. It's so black and white, but they're going to keep posting the memes. They can't wrap their pea heads around such a simple concept. And those memes don't necessarily get the blowback that this guy's did. I mean, he came at you hard, man. And usually they try to take a breath and try to educate. We all do. They mean people on the right side of this. Someone posts an All Lives Matter thing, whether it's a relative or, you know what, let me just take a second and try to, once again, explain this maybe in a different way and just try to give them a little bit of context here. And then what was it, like 2 months ago, these All Lives Matters people, they didn't give a shit when they were sacrificing grandma and grandpa to reopen all the businesses, right?
I mean, you can turn that thing upside down with how fake that is. You know what I'm saying? And I just believe that there's people out there that, I don't know why they get so scared of any type of progress. You know what I'm saying? And then the next thing is to lump, you know, we had the demonstrations from protests to rioting and looting that took place, you know, to try to lump all of that together, which is not true. There's definitely people who took, you know, as opportunists to do some of these things. I live on the south side of Chicago, which has some rough areas. There was nobody outside of those people who did that who were happy about that. You know what I'm saying? And nor do I associate those with people who are doing peaceful protests. Quite frankly, some of these people don't want to see any type of protest. You know what I'm saying? If somebody's kneeling, I don't want you kneeling. You know what I mean? If somebody speaks and just says, I want to talk, I don't want to talk about it. So it's just like, it doesn't matter how that conversation is coming. There are certain people that just don't want to have it.
Sure.
And I think that they feel like it's being forced upon them, but that's how growth is. I think that the majority of Americans, at least as it seems, we will find out more, I think, in November when people go to the polls, which is a whole other thing. But it seems like our country has come to a place where people want to move past and try to do the right things. And there's some uncomfortableness there. There's people who are making gaffes and trying to do it. But I've just judged it that people are trying. Now, in a couple months, I'm going to see if those people who are doing things today are following through with what they're saying, because people can easily put a cool graphic up and say they're down with something, and then 3 months down the line, nothing's changed. So I think people's feet will be held to the fire. But my thought is, with this great American experiment, some people call it what it is, to have so many different types of people that we live in the country together. As a Black person, my people have certainly seen some of the brunt of the underside of that, but have even with that still believed in it, still fought for it. My uncle was telling me a story. He fought in the Korean War. Behind the house that they grew up in, there's military barracks, right? And as a kid, you don't even think about it. It's like, those big buildings back there with some military trucks. But they said that during World War II, this is in Greenwood, Mississippi, by the way, that there were German POWs that were brought to those barracks. And as kids, they would play ball over the fence with them. And they said the thing that would kill them was those German soldiers could go into more places in that city than they could as American citizens. And a lot of people say, get over that, this or that. Nobody gets over that. And that's not a long time ago. That was my parents' lifetime. Yeah. But I think that we sit here on the precipice of something that it looks like there could be some change made. And I'm positive with that. And I just think that there are going to be some people who are going to be kicking and screaming against it. There's people who harbor things in their hearts that they're not going to be able to stop themselves because of the addiction to social media. It's going to come out one way or the other, because either they're going to say it now or they've already said it.
But you know what, CW, now that we've talked about and I think about it, maybe it's a good thing. Weed them out.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for it. And mainly because what you said, what's going to happen in 2 months? Once the furor of this goes down, once the passion kind of subsides, what's going to happen in 2 months? But people like this that keep fucking posting this stuff, hopefully that keeps those embers stoked. And it's like, no, this is still here. This is still the thing that we have to do.
Yeah, they're actually in a way hurting their own cause. Which, hey, imagine that a guy from Denmark can't wrap his head around people marching for something. How the hell are you going to march in wooden shoes? They do wear wooden shoes, right? Am I getting that confused?
You might be getting. I think isn't that Sweden?
That's the Netherlands, maybe. I've just alienated all of our Dane listeners.
Your email box is going to be full when you get off here, but
Hey, I like windmills. That counts for something, right?
I never had a beef with those people, and actually, I just say I still don't. That's I'll put that on him. That's how I'm with everybody, man.
That's very big of you, CW. I'm not as kind. I'm done with.
Don't ever get it twisted with me. I have a square I maintain, right? And as long as somebody stays out that square, operate inside my square, I'm like a bull in that way. I guess that's why I'm a Taurus. My horoscope. You cross that fence, then different things happen.
That's a good way. My God, I have a huge square.
Don't you come in here?
Yeah.
Once you cross that, I'm with it. I mean, you saw how I responded to him. You know what I'm saying? And there's just so many different ways. When he even stepped in that with me, I'm like, bro, I'm not the one.
Well, no, and you handled yourself actually with probably a lot more. You probably handled a lot more calmly. Let me say that than I could ever imagine myself doing. Let me ask you this: we talked the other day, going back to the Gurkha thing. They've been when he first they found these tweets and these Facebook posts. He said he was hacked after a couple days. Then the company said he was hacked and they pulled it down. And then they said they were going to do a live town hall on Zoom and discuss, but they were sorry they weren't sure what they were sorry for, but he didn't do it. And then the next day he resigned. And then the next big announcement came, and I want to see if you were able to check any of it out. They did a town hall with Luther Campbell of 2 Live Crew to try to.
And I missed that because when I saw the 8 o'clock ripping and running, moving around, I was thinking Central Time. I got the times mixed up and didn't get a chance because I did want to see that and see what happened in that.
Yeah, I wish they had those where you could watch them after the fact. I looked, they did. It was their crisis control team has just done some really interesting moves ever since this broke. And bringing in Uncle Luke was I was really wanting to see where they were going to go with that.
Because Luke doesn't play.
And I've watched some of his his stuff. I mean, he seems like one of the more grounded, kind of straight shooting celebrities out there, but I was very curious to see how we did a show that night, so I couldn't check it out. But
I wish I would have seen it too, man. I thought about it, I looked at it, and I'm like, oh man, I was like, that already happened. I'm thinking I got the times wrong on that.
Okay, I just wanted to see if you had checked it out. Oh, by the way, Tut, if we get into any PR trouble on the podcast, I'm going to be bringing in either the Fat Boys or Skilo to do some damage control for us.
As a guy who's also
that's all our budget has that we can go.
As a guy who's also studied marketing, I would suggest Chub Rock. I want Chub Rock.
We'll see. And
it's got a softer side to it.
And we can only afford one of the Fat Boys.
Yeah, that's true.
There's only 2 of them left.
Oh, is there? Oh, that's sad.
What's funny is that they're real skinny now.
Oh, are they? Well, good for them.
Yeah. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah, the last 2, the guy who used to beatbox is gone, Buffy. He didn't get skinny, so he had,
Oh, you know what? That's the one I wanted. So we'll go with Skilo.
That makes me sad now.
All right. Well, look, our audience well knows after 5 years of listening and watching to us that we don't get political on here often, or at least not till hour 3 when we're nice and liquored up. But we try to keep things light here in the corner of no hope. After all, we're a party podcast. Yeah. And we like to have a lighthearted good time and share that good time with our followers. But I wanted to talk to someone tonight who was directly involved in some of this nonsensical social media vitriol. I wanted to put a human face on it because when I see friends of mine getting attacked, whether it's a social media friend who I'm just now having the pleasure to actually, after 10 years, talk to, like CW, or another, African-American friend who's actually, social media friends. And then I've actually hung out with this guy. When I see these people that I know get attacked, to me, that makes a big difference because now you can read the news all you want and you can read about hate and misguided negative energy all you want on social media, but until you see it aimed at someone that you know or care about, it really changes, at least for me, it lights a spark and it really makes you think about some bigger things that maybe you were thinking about, but not hard enough, because it's just kind of a wake up that, you know what, this shit's serious. And if there's something we can do, if there's something that I'm not doing that I could do, then I should do it. So I do a podcast and you were nice enough to come on. So I thank you.
Yeah. I would just say that's a great thought to have. One of the things that I've said around some of the recent upheaval and things in the country is, while I don't go for looting and stuff like that, I'm also thinking about it in terms of, why do things have to get so loud before people hear? You know what I'm saying? A lot of these things could be dealt with that if you hear someone, and a lot of it needs to be people coming together. Now, Black people, we have to engage the majority all the time, but the majority needs to engage have friends and talk to your friends, even if it's uncomfortable. So you can see some of these things already. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't have to be, days and days of protest and the upheaval that you see to get things to move. Like that stuff has made things move, but it's like it didn't even have to go to that level. You know what I'm saying? This could have been handled in true conversations that I would tell you that Black people have been ready to have. I think we got to freeze up. When I said it was so poignant.
Well, it was, and I was like, I got all like thoughtful there, and then it was like silence, and I was like, well, crap, do I say anything?
That's the biggest part of it.
No, that's I was actually watching the Sandra Bland documentary, and one of the things that she said that was really kind of hit home to me is that she was like, Black people need more white friends, and white friends, you definitely need more Black friends.
Yeah.
And that goes, oh no, we lost Cade. And that goes to it because those conversations can be had if we had more friends.
Yeah.
It's a real interesting time. I mean, people can. I've one of the things that I've been very hopeful about is that listening to the voices of, and I need to watch Cade to see if he's going to come back, which he will, but I'll see if I get that message there. Yeah, he just said, okay, got to get back in. A lot of the old civil rights guys are like, we now see activation. We see a lot of activation that hasn't necessarily happened in the white community before. And that's giving them hope. And that, to me, gives me hope. I'm like, all right, well, hell, maybe it's not going to fix itself. But maybe if we get, 50 yards more down, that's awesome. Let's go for that. And then after we get to that 50 yards, see what happens from there.
There it is. I mean, the whole thing is that, and I think that there can be quicker change. I think that social media allows some of these relationships to be made. You know what I'm saying? That even if you're in a cigar group with different people of different ethnicities, that happens. The cool thing that happened for me is I grew up in a diverse setting.
Yeah.
A neighborhood that was diverse, that had everybody there, high school, same thing, and everybody was true to themselves and who they were, you know what I mean? But we all got along and grew up as kids together, so we have an understanding of each other. You know what I'm saying? That's why you probably, a lot of the white kids I grew up in high school to see that guy say, I came from a mother in the slums. They come out of my neighborhood, they knew my mother was college educated. I lived in a two-story home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so that pissed them off. Like, what? No, you didn't come from that. But it's always given me and it's kind of sad to say this, but in some ways it's given me a step up that I feel comfortable in so many situations being myself and saying what I got to say because I've been around different kind of people my whole life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I understand where people are coming from. I remember there was a comedian a long time ago said something that I knew was true, and he was saying, for Black people, white people aren't as corny as, we make them out to be on TV. And for white people, Black people aren't as jive.
Yeah.
They're made out to be if you meet that. And I've had a situation where I've met with a new white person and they start, trying to talk street stuff. And I'm like, well, I can understand the King's English. You got a college education, you might be, But it comes down to, like we were saying, is the conversations that need to be had. What you'll end up finding out is that while there are differences, that's just America, and there is a past that, the things that happened in the past do equal up to now. There is no forgetting that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think that if you really look at it, the one thing I'll say about African Americans is that we've never asked for revenge on any of that stuff. All we've ever asked for is for the country to live up to what it put on paper. That was a quote from Martin Luther King said. I'm paraphrasing it. But just live up to what the flag stands for. Live up to what the paper stands for. You know what I'm saying? To say that all men are created equal and all the things that we go off of. That's all that's ever been asked.
Yeah, I think my bromance, Matthew McConaughey, quoted Langston Hughes on the Acho video. And it was like, the great America that has not been but needs to be.
There you go.
And I was like, yeah.
Did you miss me?
I did. I did. We talked about it, So we're going to hang in there until he gets back, and there'll be no tears shed.
I'm out, aren't I? You're the new host of the Tuesday Night Cigar Club podcast. He's been trying.
We weren't going to just announce that right now. We're going to have a conversation now. Hey, do you got extra 30 minutes? We can talk to you.
He's been trying to find a replacement for me for some time, and here we go.
And it's finally happened.
He could have at least not gone with a Bears fan.
I got a Bears shirt on too.
I almost wore mine. I almost did. Well, I hope you guys. I'm having some internet things here. I hope you guys had good talk while I was dropped out. Real quick, I will say this, and I don't know where you guys have gone, but
let's see. We talked to Sandra Bland documentary, Matthew McConaughey, and Langston Hughes.
Yep.
Well, those are all.
Paraphrase Martin Luther King.
Those were all the points I was going to talk about. So, you admit you were talking about, and we don't need to go back there, CW, but you were talking about how people, are focusing on the looting and the damage done, and kind of, focusing on a small piece of something that has nothing to do with the other things, whereas. I just couldn't help, and I haven't seen this anywhere, so maybe this isn't not a very apt comparison, but, there was a guy in Charlottesville that drove his car over a woman, and you didn't see everyone focusing on that troublemaker and lumping everyone else there in with that asshole.
Exactly.
But yet, there's, these huge forces of people on their feet peacefully, and you're associating that much larger group with this much smaller questionable group, and it just seems like, oh, news alert, people are hypocrites. Okay. Well, let me say this. I don't know what you guys talked about, and I'm just going to assume, because I know Tut, and I think I know you well enough, CW. It was good stuff. So I would just like to say this to kind of close out on. I want us, the Tuesday Night Cigar Club, to be very public about where we stand and on what side of history we want to fall on. It's not just enough these days. I read this somewhere earlier, and it kind of struck a chord. It's not just enough today to not be racist. It's at this point in time, you have to be anti-racist.
Be anti-racist.
And you have to call shit out and help when your friends are trying to call things out and put people on blast who have hurt them or who are out there hurting people. If you have a platform or a voice to help them, then you're weak sauce if you don't. So I hope that this was something that was good for you, CW. I hope that I know it was good for us. Like I said, we talked about Gurkha for a while, but let's be honest. There's a big difference between 4 white guys sitting around talking about these issues and kicking 2 of those guys out and having you come in here and bring in, this is affecting your life. This is going on right now, especially as far as social media and how things can go sideways fast. And I thought you brought a really interesting, unique perspective to it that a lot of people probably don't get to have someone explain it to them and what it feels like. And I hope that, I appreciate that you did that for us.
Hey, well, I appreciate you having me. The one thing about it is I always say that, your actions talk so loud, I can't even hear what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people talk, but I always say, what are you going to do? The way that you guys have come at this was that you put me on the show and you wanted to talk about it. That's action. And to hear a different voice. So I respect that. I thank you for having me here. It's been fun. And, I hope the more of these conversations go on across the nation, I think they will. Some of the stuff is raw, man, when you talk about it. Just got to push through it, you know what I mean, and get to a better place. I think that if things continue on the trajectory that they're going out of the unrest and things that are taking place, I think that it's going to put America in a better place. I really do.
I really do. I really do too, CW. And let's
gotta get there.
You know, if we can do whatever part we can to, especially in our little subculture of the universe, premium cigars, if we can help, you know, pull some of the bad weeds out and throw them in the trash, that just makes room for the beautiful flowers.
That's it.
I get up, go to